Good morning. I hope you're having a great day wherever you're at. Here in Brazil, things are good. It's Monday. Yesterday was great at church. We had a wonderful time. A lot of people seeing Jesus more clearly. You know, one of the thoughts that kept coming to me yesterday, since I preached on Job and how his story turned out in Job chapter 42, is that the world is certainly not a perfect place. It's not hard to convince anybody that the world is not perfect. But there is a strange perfection that there is in the world, and there's a way in which the world works perfectly, at least in two ways. One way is the world is perfect to teach me that I am not God. And that is a big lesson that every human being has to learn. Since the Garden of Eden, when Adam and Eve wanted to be more like God or to be God, humanity has had a problem about trying to run its own reality. Job certainly learned this. He said these words, "I have heard of you by hearing of the ear, but now my eyes see you, and I repent in dust and ashes." When he finally finished up with the pain and the imperfection of this world that he was facing, he came to the conclusion that he was not God. He needed to close his mouth, he needed to repent, and he needed to start to think over again about everything. And the world does that to every one of us, not just to some of us, to all of us. Hopefully not in the depth that it did in Job's life, but it does that to all of us. The second thing about this world that can be perfect is a perfect place to love. There are no shortage of opportunities to love people in this world, and it is incredibly important that we love. Jesus called this carrying our cross. He said, "You have to take up your cross and follow me, or you cannot be my disciple." I used to think that carrying my cross meant putting up with all the people in my world that gave me trouble, or putting up with all the difficult people in my world. That was my cross. I think I understand a little bit different now. I understand that my cross is the quantity of divine love that I have been called to deliver into the world. Jesus' cross included dying for the sins of the world. My cross does not include dying for the sins of the world. But my cross does include loving my wife, loving my children, loving their mates, loving the grandchildren, which is not all that difficult. It involves loving my neighbors. It involves loving the people that God puts into my path every day. It even involves loving my enemies. And this is a perfect place for that. I believe that we can resume our existence with these words: we exist to love God, to love our neighbor. Certainly the world is not a perfect place, but there's two things that this world is going to do in you. And there's two things the world is going to do in me for sure. It's going to convince me that I am not God. And it's going to convince me that the most important thing that exists in the universe is genuine, authentic love. I know that all of us go through difficult times, and I know that maybe you're really frustrated right now with the world the way it is. I'm very frustrated at times. I don't like things that don't work the way I want them to work. But I'm learning to close my mouth more and more, which has been difficult for me, and to say that I repent because I see just how great the distance is between me and God. And the second thing is, I need to stay busy every day doing the one thing that really is needed in this world, and that is to love God and to love my neighbor. You know, I hope that you will honestly understand that the world is an imperfect place. It is. In the world we do have tribulations, but it's also a great place to find out who God really is and who we really are, and it's also a great place to learn to love better. Well, have a great day. I'm sure you've got lots of people to love.